Why It Sucks to Be Born as an American. Part 2. Crime Life. Crime in America is a multifaceted challenge that has shaped communities, influenced policy, and sparked national debate for generations. From urban centers to rural towns, the specter of criminal activity touches every corner of the nation, affecting millions of lives and costing billions of dollars annually. Yet, understanding crime in America requires moving beyond sensational headlines and political rhetoric. This is not simply a story of statistics and policies, but of real people, real communities, and the ongoing struggle to create a safer, more just society. To understand crime in America, we must first grasp its scope. The Federal Bureau of Investigation's Uniform Crime Reporting Program tracks what are known as Part 1 offenses. In recent years, these crimes have numbered in the millions annually, though the rates have fluctuated significantly over time. Violent crime, which captures the public imagination most dramatically, represents a smaller portion of overall criminal activity, but carries outsized consequences. Murder rates still claim tens of thousands of American lives each year. Property crimes, though generally considered less severe, occur far more frequently and impose substantial economic costs. Yet these statistics tell only part of the story. Many crimes go unreported, creating what criminologists call the dark figure of crime. Crime is not evenly distributed across America's landscape. Urban areas generally experience higher crime rates than suburban or rural communities. Within cities, crime often concentrates in specific neighborhoods, sometimes within just a few blocks. These high crime areas frequently share common characteristics, including poverty, unemployment, residential instability, and weak social institutions. The concentration of crime creates profound disparities in public safety. Residents of high-crime neighborhoods live with constant vigilance. Meanwhile, residents of low-crime areas may go years without directly experiencing criminal victimization. Regional patterns also emerge. The South historically reports higher violent crime rates. Beyond statistics lie human stories of loss, trauma, and disrupted lives. Families mourn loved ones killed in acts of violence. Survivors of violent crimes often struggle with lasting psychological trauma, including post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety. Property crime victims feel violated when their homes are burglarized or their cars stolen, losing not just possessions, but their sense of security. Communities affected by high crime rates experience collective trauma, trust erodes, social cohesion weakens. Businesses may close or refuse to open in high-crime areas, reducing employment opportunities and economic vitality. Children who witness violence are more likely to experience academic difficulties. The constant stress of living in high-crime environments contributes to health problems, including hypertension, heart disease, and shortened lifespans. The relationship between poverty and crime has been extensively documented, though it is neither simple nor deterministic. Most people living in poverty never commit crimes. Yet poverty clearly creates conditions that increase crime risk. Economic desperation can motivate property crimes and participation in illegal markets. Unemployment and underemployment play significant roles. Young men without stable employment are at particularly high risk. The loss of manufacturing jobs in many American cities eliminated pathways to middle-class stability. Income inequality may also influence crime rates. Research suggests that large gaps between rich and poor can increase property crime. Family environments profoundly influence individual crime risk. Children who experience abuse, neglect, or exposure to domestic violence. Harsh or inconsistent parenting, weak parent-child bonds, and lack of parental supervision correlate with higher rates of delinquency. Family disruption, including parental incarceration, also matters. Children with incarcerated parents often experience trauma. However, these patterns reflect correlation rather than destiny. Many children from troubled homes never engage in criminal behavior. Individual resilience, supportive relationships with other adults, and access to resources can buffer against risk factors. Education represents both a protective factor against crime and a pathway to opportunity. High school dropouts face dramatically higher risks. Schools in disadvantaged communities often struggle with inadequate funding, less experienced teachers, and infrastructure challenges. Disciplinary practices can push students toward criminal justice involvement through what researchers call the school-to-prison pipeline. Once involved with the justice system, young people face increased risks of future offending. Conversely, quality education opens doors to legitimate opportunities, builds skills including impulse control. Programs that improve educational outcomes often yield crime reduction benefits. Mental illness and substance abuse problems afflict many people involved in the criminal justice system. Untreated mental health conditions can impair judgment, increase impulsivity. Though most people with mental illness never commit violent crimes, substance abuse drives crime through multiple pathways. Addiction motivates acquisitive crimes to finance drug purchases. Intoxication reduces inhibitions and impairs judgment, increasing risks of violence and other criminal behavior. Drug markets themselves generate violence as participants lack legal recourse to resolve disputes. The opioid epidemic has devastated communities across America, contributing to both addiction-related crimes and family disruption. America's high rates of gun ownership and relatively permissive gun laws distinguish it from other developed nations. Firearms are used in the majority of homicides and many robberies and assaults. Gun availability appears to make violent conflicts more lethal, as weapons that can kill at a distance lower the threshold. Research on gun laws and crime yields complex findings, but evidence suggests certain regulations may reduce gun violence. However, enforcement challenges, interstate trafficking, and existing stock of hundreds of millions of firearms complicate regulatory efforts. Gun violence takes multiple forms requiring different responses: gang-related shootings, domestic homicides, mass shootings, and suicides. Crime and criminal justice cannot be understood apart from America's history of racial injustice. African Americans and Latinos are disproportionately affected by crime, both as victims and as people arrested and incarcerated. These disparities reflect complex factors, including discriminatory policies, differential policing practices, socioeconomic disadvantages rooted in historical discrimination. Urban renewal and highway construction destroyed thriving Black neighborhoods. Discriminatory housing policies. Concentrated poverty. The war on drugs disproportionately targeted minority communities despite similar drug use rates across racial groups. Disparities in criminal justice processing raise concerns about bias and fairness. Gang activity and organized crime. Gangs contribute significantly to violent crime, particularly in urban areas. Gang membership provides identity, belonging, and protection for young people who may lack these elsewhere. But it also exposes members to violence and criminal activity. Gang-related shootings often follow patterns of retaliation. Drug trafficking organizations, both domestic gangs and transnational cartels, generate violence through market competition. The illegality of drug markets removes legal protections, making violence a tool for business operations. Efforts to disrupt gang activity through aggressive enforcement sometimes backfire by fragmenting gangs into smaller, more volatile groups. Law enforcement represents society's frontline response to crime. American policing has evolved through various strategic approaches. Traditional reactive policing responds to crimes after they occur. Community policing emphasizes partnerships. Problem-oriented policing focuses on understanding and addressing underlying conditions that generate crime patterns. Hotspots policing concentrates police presence in small areas with high crime rates. Focused deterrent strategies identify individuals at highest risk of violence and combine law enforcement leverage with social services. However, aggressive policing tactics can damage police-community relations, particularly in minority neighborhoods. Striking appropriate balances between enforcement and community trust remains an ongoing challenge. Prosecutors wield enormous discretion over charging decisions, plea bargaining, and sentence recommendations. Their choices profoundly affect who gets punished and how severely. Courts face overwhelming caseloads that pressure defendants to accept plea bargains. Public defenders, who represent most criminal defendants, often carry unsustainable caseloads that compromise defense quality. Bail systems create two-tiered justice, where wealthy defendants go free while poor defendants remain jailed. America incarcerates more people per capita than any other nation. Over 2 million people fill prisons and jails on any given day. This mass incarceration phenomenon grew from tough-on-crime policies. Prisons serve multiple purposes, including punishment, incapacitation, deterrence, and rehabilitation, though their effectiveness varies. Whether it deters future crime by inmates or others is less clear. Some inmates mature out of crime during incarceration, while prison environments can also reinforce criminal identities and connections. The collateral consequences of incarceration extend far beyond prison walls. Criminal records create barriers to employment, housing, education. Children with incarcerated parents experience trauma and disadvantage. Communities with high incarceration rates suffer weakened social networks. Ultimately, sustainable crime reduction requires addressing underlying social conditions that generate crime, improving educational quality and outcomes, expanding economic opportunities, strengthening families, and providing treatment for mental health and substance abuse problems. These systemic changes require long-term commitment and investment. They lack the political appeal of tough enforcement rhetoric. Evidence increasingly suggests that social programs preventing crime prove more cost-effective than incarceration responding to it. However, changing systems and institutions poses enormous challenges. Powerful interests may resist change. Results take time to materialize, while political pressure demands quick responses. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to stay informed, like to amplify the message, and turn on notifications.